What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com. Going to talk to you about Monday Night Football as the New Orleans Saints head to Las Vegas, right down the street from me here, to play the Raiders. Before we get going, as always, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments how you are going to play this game on Monday night. Should be interesting. And the reason I say that is some of the stuff we'll talk about here in just a second. But again, all the stuff we do is free, so really do hit that subscribe button. We do appreciate the support. Over here at The Lines, you see the complete Monday Night Football breakdown if you want to read along here as I kind of get going on all this. A little bit bittersweet for me. I was going to be going to this game, of course, before COVID hit from Louisiana. So Saints, my team, and then live in Las Vegas, so right down the road, and was going to get to open up a new stadium. But I digress. It's okay. It's okay. We'll hope for a good game regardless, one way or the other. Big news here, Michael Thomas out for the Saints. As you know, he is their number one target. So much so that 33% of all passes were thrown to Michael Thomas last season. So 1 in every 3 passes went Michael Thomas's way. So a pretty big loss when Michael Thomas is out for the Saints here. Defensive end Marcus Davenport is also out for the Saints. They should be getting their draft pick Cesar Ruiz back. He didn't play last week, but he should be back in there this week. So should help that offensive line out even more, which is, again, one of the better offensive lines in all the league. On the other side, not helping the offensive line for the Raiders is Trent Brown is doubtful for this game, which doubtful usually means out. So losing a tackle there, and one of the better tackles out there, certainly is no good for them. Wide receiver Henry Ruggs, who's kind of had to be thrust into that kind of wide receiver 1 role for them, is also questionable in this game. Even if he does go, kind of the beat reports here is that he would be limited anyway, even if he were to go. So a couple of banged up offenses here, a couple of banged up wide receiver 1s for these teams. So last week, let's look at this. Look, the Saints won, but it was kind of a deceiving box score. They got a defensive touchdown. They got a short field touchdown. When you look at Drew Brees, he was only 18 of 30 for 160 yards in that game. If you kind of look at Pro Football Focus, how they rated him is towards the bottom of the league, even under pressure, all that stuff. Like, there was a lot of reasons not to like Drew Brees. He only threw the ball. Average depth of target was only average depth of throw was only 5.2 yards down the field. And so when you kind of look at the Saints and how they performed in week 1, even though the box score against the Bucs was nice, and I'll keep scrolling here so you can read along, 27th in total offense, 30th in yards per play, 25th on third down efficiency. So there was not a lot to like about the Saints offense, despite the fact they got that win against the Bucs. On the Raiders side of things, Carr, he's super efficient. He always is. He just doesn't push the ball down the field. He completed 73% of his passes in that game last week. He just dinks and dunks. That's just what Derek Carr does. Josh Jacobs, of course, they want to ride him. He had 25 carries, was able to get 93 yards out of that. Saints on defense, look, this has been their strong suit over the last few seasons, and it continues to be this year. Now, Marcus Davenport not being in there is certainly going to hurt this defense, but again, good pass rush, good in coverage with Lattimore in the secondary as well, who can kind of take out a number 1 wide receiver, good at the linebacking core. I mean, it's really just top to bottom a good defense for the Saints here, so there's no real weakness for the Raiders to try to attack in this game. The Raiders defense, on the other hand, is actually one of the worst over the last couple of seasons in the NFL, and it looks to kind of continue here in this season as well here in 2020. 25th in overall defense after week 1. Again, very super small sample size. That being said, Pro Football Focus did rank them kind of in the bottom 10 of defenses heading into 2020 here. So that did play out in week 1. Will that continue to play out? I mean, they gave up nearly 400 yards to the Panthers last week, 30 points to those guys. So I'll continue to scroll down here a little bit. Let's take a look at the odds over here, guys. We'll roll up, and you saw maybe when we were on the preview page here, which is another thing you can do. It'll show you kind of the best places to get these numbers and stuff. At DraftKings, as we sit, 5.5 is where we are right now at this one. Now, this one was at 6, so you can kind of see one of the things DraftKings lets you do if you click that stats button and then betting trends, it will show you kind of how the line has moved here, and you can see. So it opened way back when, and then it got all the way, as you can see, to 6.5 5 days ago. and then we get to 6, and then here we are at 5.5. So you can see this thing has been at different numbers over the course of it opening and being out. 48.5 is the total now. This has trickled down. This was higher as well. Plus 195 on the Raiders if you want them on the money line. Over here at FanDuel, a little bit of a discrepancy. Not much, though, on the money line. That's about it. But the total's the same. Spread is the same. And then even over here at BetMGM, if we take a look here, click the main, 5.5, 48.5. So you can see where we sit is all three books at 5.5 and 48.5 as we sit here and recording this on Monday morning. So let's make a case for the over in this game, over 48.5. And I think one of the things we can focus on here is that the Raiders defense is really bad, right? So even with Michael Thomas being out, they do have Emmanuel Sanders, Traquan Smith. They have Jared Cook at tight end. Of course, you still have Alvin Kamara as a pass-catching running back, and you have Latavius Murray as well. So still a lot of guys that can get it done. If Emmanuel Sanders can kind of step up and be that number one receiver guy, then you could see the Saints team putting up their kind of typical what they do with, scoring kind of close to 30 points, and then the Raiders don't really have to do much on their end to kind of help you get there if you want the over in this thing. Now, one of the things we won't really talk about here is maybe there being a bunch of short fields. Because again, at the end of the day, Drew Brees and Derek Carr don't take a lot of chances in this thing. And so that's not really going to play into this. It's really going to have to be if the Saints can still put up points without Michael Thomas on this Raiders defense. And then the Raiders D, while I don't expect them to have a field day at all against this Saints team, is still able to put up something on the board to kind of get you there. It's not going to be a super high pace game. It's not going to, so there's not a lot working in your favor here from a statistical standpoint when it comes to the over, other than, you do still have Drew Brees. You do have one of the more efficient offenses there with the Saints, and and look, everything should be looking up for the Raiders. Whether it's there quite yet or not is something you'll have to decipher, but everything does seem to be looking up. Now, on the under side of things, if you want to play the under, and again, it's the same at all three books, so it doesn't matter, so we'll just use DraftKings here as an example, under 48.5. One of the things that you can look at here is these are two of the more run-heavy teams in the NFL. In this day and age, this is a passing NFL, as we know. Well, both of these teams barely pass more than they run. We're seeing more of a 60-40 split these days with teams as far as pass to run, if not more, depending on the super high volume passing teams. Not the case here for the Saints and the Raiders, at least last year and early on in this season, where we're seeing literally just barely above a 50-50 split for both of these teams. We know Gruden likes to run Jacobs. I don't blame him. The guy's one of the up-and-coming stars at running back position. He's really, really good. And when they get him going, like I said, he had 25 carries last week. So, I mean, like they are not afraid to feed him the ball. And on the Saints side of things, they have two different backs. Now, they're not going to feed Alvin Kamara 20 times. That's not going to happen from a rushing standpoint. He might have 20 touches overall when this thing's all said and done. But Latavius Murray gets his as well, but they still like to run the ball a lot in the Saints. It used to be this high-powered Saints offense, no more. They tend to run a lot more than most teams these days in the NFL. So another reason you could look to the under would be something like that. And would the Saints even be more run-heavy in this game than typical because of the lack of Michael Thomas? So another reason you could look towards the under. Another reason you can look towards the under is, again, is the Saints have a really good defense, like I said. So whether they score a lot of points in this game or not, the defense should not give up a lot of points in this game. They match up very, very well. One of the biggest mismatches, in the league this week is just the Saints offensive line too against the defensive line of the Raiders. So again, controlling that line of scrimmage, they do want to run the ball. They should be able to do so pretty confidently. So if you're looking towards the under, some of the reasons you can maybe head towards the under right there. Let's look at some player props, guys. One of the ones that I am all over can be found over here. And actually, we're going to play it. We're going to play it somewhere else because the juice has gotten out of control here at DraftKings. But receiving yards for Alvin Kamara, you can see sit at 37.5, but you're paying the 130. At least over here at BetMGM, click on the little player props tab right there. And when you do that, you can see receiving yards is Kamara 37.5, but it's only 115 on the over as opposed to 130. So we'll play the over 37.5 right here. Reason being here, guys, one, that's kind of where I would project him in a normal range, in a normal scenario anyway. So now we adjust for the fact that Michael Thomas is out. Alvin Kamara will have to play a bigger role in the pass game. Do I think that Emmanuel Sanders will have a bigger game? Sure. That being said, Alvin Kamara is the guy that's been there a long time. He's the guy that Drew Brees knows and trusts very well. And he's the guy that I believe that they're going to kind of line up, maybe even in some different positions here, not only catching the ball out of the backfield, but maybe even lining him up in the slot, maybe even lining him up at wide a couple of different times, trying to manufacture him some touches and get the ball in his hands again without Michael Thomas out on the field here. So I'm taking the over 37.5 receiving yards for Alvin Kamara. I feel very confident in that one. Got that one in the account multiple times, bet that one a few different times. So would be very, very shocked if Alvin Kamara is not utilized very heavily in the pass game to make up for the lack of having Michael Thomas out on the field. As far as the passing yards go, guys, this is really kind of right on in the projection range here. I see no advantage whatsoever. Kind of the same on the rushing yards as well. Kind of right in there. Again, we know Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara are going to split carries. So what kind of split are you going to get? Which is why you kind of like just shrug your shoulders when you see the numbers here. And then Jacobs at 66.5. I mean, if you look at this Saints defense, we talk about how good they've been. When you look at Jacobs, this Saints team has not given up a 100-yard rusher in over 2 seasons. So it has been over 2 seasons since you have given up a 100-yard rusher for this Saints defense here. So really, really stout against the run, and no reason that you would think that they wouldn't continue to be super stout here. So no play for me on Jacobs at the 66.5 either. And especially depending on game flow, depending on how you think this goes, how it might end up for them on this one. So anyway, really big on the Kamara over prop there. Let's talk about the game in the lines here. Sitting at 5.5. Really no play for me, guys. This one sat at 6 for a long time. You can still find rogue 6s at a couple of books out there. One of the things you can do, come click on odds over here on the lines, and there's a comparison tool that you can see. Actually, 5 across the board, 5.5 across the board right now at every place you're going to be looking. So no real advantage on the 6. The 6 was out there for a long time. Kind of why there's no play for me. I would kind of lean a little bit, I think, to the Raiders if I got the 6, and better than 6 would be even greater. And who knows, maybe there'd be late money come in on the Saints. It's the bigger team, bigger name, sexier team. As we get closer to kickoff, it is an island game, so there will be money coming in. But for me, at 5.5, just really a no play here. The reason I kind of lean towards the Raiders, like I said, a little bit, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think either team is going to really be able to get that far away from the other. Without Michael Thomas out there, without Ruggs being 100%, with both teams wanting to run the ball a ton, I just don't see how this game gets out of control, which really leaves me not a big play in this game other than the receiving prop there for Alvin Kamara is the under in this game. I actually got it at 49. But 48.5, I mean, again, probably we'll see this tick up a little bit closer to, if you want to play the under, I would say hold out, because I think you'll see this thing tick up a little bit closer to kickoff. People like to play overs, and so it's people who decide they want to bet on this thing last minute, they're going to play the over. And I think you might be able to get this thing up to 49 if you want to take the under. But for me, 2 run-heavy teams, lacking playmakers, 2 quarterbacks that aren't really taking shots down the field, 2 guys that don't really want to push the ball at all. The pace for these teams is not going to be breakneck either. They should have success running the ball as well, at least on the Saints side of things. And look, Jacobs is Jacobs. I mean, even going up against this stout Saints front, he's still going to be able to get his. We're just going to keep that clock running. So I just don't have a ton of confidence in these teams being able to get 7 touchdowns, which is what we would be looking at here, to get to 49 points. So playing the under in this one as well. And like I said, if you want to do that, I would hold out a little bit. I don't think it's going to get worse than 48.5. And if anything, it should get better for you if you do want to play the under. If you were looking to play the over, guys, I would go ahead and get on it because, like I said, most people play overs in these island games. And so, if anything, this thing might go back up to 49. Hope you guys found something in here that maybe helped you along with your bets, something that you want to get going. Again, you can head over to thelines.com. We do have this odds comparison tool as well, and you can go ahead and take a look at what the lines are that are starting to pop up for next week as well. And you can see all of these bonus offers that we have here. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself is to have accounts at multiple books, because you're going to be able to take advantage of any line discrepancies and things like that, which do pop up all over the place. I mean, you can see even right here as we look kind of ahead into next week, there's 5.5s here. There's 4.5s already. So there's a 5. So you want to be able to take advantage of those as you can. Hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments how you are going to be playing Monday Night Football. Good luck on all of your bets.